was a semester break, and it was a very wonderful experience. The doctors are all very friendly and patient, and one of the attendings there actually recommended this book to me. So he's already in his mid-50s, which means this book was published, I think, more than 20 years ago. Now, for a lot of the medical books, it is not recommended to buy books that were even published 1 or 2 years ago because some information wouldn't be so accurate or up to date anymore. But with the dermatology, a lot of the facts actually still stay true until this day, and a lot of the therapy methods haven't changed that much. So I think this really is a great book, and what's so cool about it is that it includes lots of the pictures, as you could say. Also histopathological pictures, and it really is a very compact book, so it only contains things that are really practical in a clinical setting, and unlike a lot of the medical books that include way too much of the, other random facts that you don't need on a day-to-day basis, this book is really good in that sense. So it has made it a lot more fun to study the subject. Now, the next book I'm going to talk about is also something that I have already showed you last time. So it is this book. I have it in German, but in translation it's The Girl Who Played with Fire. So this is the second book in the Millennium Trilogy or the Millennium series, and the first book is the famous Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So, as I mentioned in today's video, it's going to be quite heavy on crime fiction, just because I seem to be reading much more of them since the lockdown started, because those type of books hold my attention the best, I guess you could say. And last time I think I didn't really tell you the synopsis of this book. So basically, in this book we follow our old friend Mikai, who is a famous journalist and publisher of the magazine Millennium, and Lisbeth Zalander, a genius computer hacker and a social misfit. In this book, Mika is working with several others to run a story that will expose an extensive sex trafficking operation, and on the eve of its publication, best friend, Elizabeth Salander. And because Elizabeth is very socially incompetent, and there were a lot of medical history, especially psychological evaluation of her, that really speaks against her. She becomes the number one murder suspect, and almost everyone is willing to believe that Lisbeth is the murderer. Only Mika stood by her side and started his own murder investigation. Because, of course, it's another crime fiction where the police is not doing their work, right? And my thought on this book, it is a quite huge book. It is over 750 pages, and it definitely took me a while to read it, but I do enjoy spending time with our main characters, especially Elizabeth, because although she's socially incompetent, even misfit, as she was described in this book, but at the same time, she has a very high moral standard of her own, and she just always having to put herself in the situation where it's like herself against the whole world. And for some reason, I just cannot stop rooting for her. So, yeah. I still have the third book in the series to read, and I'm very looking forward to that. Also, the author has actually planned to write 10 books in the series, but he sadly passed away before he could finishing all of them. He actually only wrote the first 3 books, so yeah, that's quite a shame, because even though with all the books in this series, you can really read them as a standalone, in my opinion, but in terms of the development of the relationship between the main characters, it's a very slow burn book. So yeah, it's quite a shame to not be able to know what the author had actually intended for their relationship to be in the end. But all in all, it's a quite good book to, I guess, spend some time with if you are also a crime fiction fan like I am. And the third book I want to talk about is this one. It has quite a stunning cover, quite unique, I guess, and it is by Japanese author. The book is called Out, O-U-D, and it is by the author Natsuo Kirino. So, actually first heard about this book from Katie, and she runs the booktube channel Books and Things. So, Katie usually reads lots of Victorian because she quite liked Japanese literature. She still wanted to give it a chance, and it turned out to be really too dark for her. As for myself, I have read lots of Japanese crime fiction growing up. I'm Chinese, by the way, but in my opinion, a lot of the best crime fiction are written by Japanese authors, especially Kaigo Higashino. His works are like really my favorite crime novels to read, and I think the reason behind that is the Western crime novels, like especially the classics, the Sherlock Holmes series, or Agatha Christie's novels. They are quite an escapist read. Like, those characters don't feel like real people, and that's a reason why these books are so charming, I think. Yeah, because it's like you could be an armchair detective and just focusing on solving the crimes while you're reading them. Whereas the Japanese authors usually really depict the dark sides within normal citizens of our society really, really well. And it usually is like the most ordinary person. It could be your neighbor, your colleague, to commit a crime. Yeah, says a lot because, in my opinion, Gone Girl was such a masterpiece in its own genre, So I would definitively recommend this book. It is a page turner, so you wouldn't be able to put this book down. Just keep that in mind. Okay. So the fifth and the last book for today's video is this one. I am a nurse. Warum, meinen Beruf als Krankenschwester liebe, trotz allem. So this title translated to I'm a nurse. Why I love my job as a nurse in spite of everything. And it is written by Franziska Böhler. So I think she's this girl or woman on this cover, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, she is a nurse in Germany, and this book was published fairly recently in 2020, I think, actually in September 2020. So she did cover a lot of very current issues, and I checked again. It unfortunately doesn't have English translation as of now, but if you can read German, I would think a lot of people would find this book interesting and very insightful. So I found this book on the bestseller shelf in my local bookstore before our last lockdown, which has already lasted for 4 months, which is insane. But that's not the point of this video. And I personally felt very intrigued about this book because, first of all, I'm in medical school. That's why I have been working in hospitals, just the whole time during my studies in my university's hospital. And of course, we have personal encounters with nurses. So I know for a fact that a lot of them are burned out or feel quite frustrated in their job. And one big issue is, this is a very high pressure job, much more pressure than many people noticed, but at the same time, it is not well paid. It's actually quite underpaid. And I watched a docu on YouTube before, and I think they explained why it is like this. So it has something to do with the history of nursing, how it all started. And it all started with, the sisters of church. I don't know how to say it in the correctly religious term, but it's basically this woman, they were doing the work of taking care of elderly people and sick people for free. And also, nursing was a thing for a long time, even though today as a job that women did at home in the past anyways, so it didn't require a lot of knowledge or qualification. Therefore, it's underpaid. And this is such a long way of explaining the issue, but I kind of feel like it's necessary to understand why this book is quite important in my opinion. And especially in nursing stuff. And back to this book. In this book, Franziska did a very good job of explaining the current situation of how it is like of being a nurse in Germany to the general public. She went through specific challenges one would face working in different departments, like from neonatal to pediatrics to internal medicine to geriatrics. So of course there were like problems you would say everywhere in the hospital, like I mentioned, the shortage of nursing staff, but there are also issues that are unique to each department. For example, the shortage of midwives is a quite big problem because there were so few of them. So a lot of the time they have to, attend to a lot, like 2-3 births at the same time, and obviously this is not ideal for the mothers, but also for themselves. It's a very high risk situation because you are responsible to, like, for the patients to some extent, even though in the end some people would argue that the doctors are, holding more responsibilities than the nurses, but nonetheless they hold a lot of the pressure. And so she talked about a lot of the things that I haven't imagined before, and it's very eye-opening and fascinating. And also she genuinely loves her job, and it is quite moving to read as well. So if you can read German, again I would recommend this book.